Wasting money on cures. Forgot how to fix myself. They say that time is free. Then why is it so precious? Oh, I'll say memories in my head, like Polaroids on walls. They remind you to look ahead. Time is running out. Time is running out. Lately I've lost my track. I've sailed the deeper seas, hoping to find something to bring back better times. Oh, I'll say memories in my head, like Polaroids on walls. They remind you to look ahead. But time is running out. 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 Time is running. Time is running out. But time is running out. What if my best days are over? They can't be over. They can't be over now. Time is running out. What if my best days are over? They can't be over now. Time is running out. Time is running out. Time is running out.
Afternoon, it's Jim and Graham here, and just checking the time. It's 2 o'clock, which means it's our 34th and last A-Level Business live stream for this school year. So lots of familiar people in the live chat. And of course, lots of people have been joining us over the last week or two as well. Hopefully you enjoyed our AQA and AQA Edexcel specific sessions yesterday. This is not an exam board specific session. It's just an opportunity to do some gentle revision of 4 topic areas. We don't do predictions, but 4 topic areas that are often examined in A-Level Business. And often when students tell us, our tutees in particular, tell us that they like to cover this kind of stuff quite close to the exam because it means it's fresh in the memory. How are you doing, G?
Yeah, I was just moving my camera. I am tippity top.
Tippity top, good stuff. So, and by popular request, we do have a big reveal in the session today. So we've got 4 topic areas. We're going to do investment appraisal, PED and YED, I think critical path analysis, and capacity utilization, capacity. Not necessarily in that order. Now, what we've done with these activities is we've based them all on the music industry, just to give it a music industry vibe, which is particularly useful for Edexcel. Now, we don't know what the context is going to be for AQA, do we? It could be anything, couldn't it? It was puddings last year. Who knows what it could be this year? But all of the stuff we'll do today is relevant to any board, so hopefully useful for you. Good stuff. Should we start with the big reveal?
Yeah, I'm always interested to see because I never see. Obviously, you write some of them, I write some of these, and when you write them, I don't know what this is.
Well, I've written this one as the. So here we go. Well, have a go. Have a go, G. It's quite a difficult one, I think, this one today. It's not a business that a lot of people would have heard of. So it's founded in Yorkshire.
Oh wow!
In 2002.
Now, I know a business that was founded in Yorkshire in 2001.
Oh, that's no good. It can't be that one, can it?
Can't be that one, can it? Can't be that.
Now, a number of people in live chat are getting quite close. Let's have a look. Its name is often shortened to 3 letters. So that can't be B and Q because the ampersand isn't a letter. Could be HMV. People saying HMV.
Is it HMV?
It's not. I don't think it is HMV, no. Sky. People are saying Sky. JCB is a good shout. HMV, but not that. Okay, let's have a look at another one. It uses a flat organisational structure and laissez-faire leadership.
Oh, wow.
Often the case.
It sounds like a dream place to work.
Well,
that's all I can say.
Okay. ITV, people are saying CBS, ITV, MXR, G4M. No. Wow. Are we going to beat the audience? It recruited a Sunderland fan in 2009 and has never looked back.
Do you know, any business that recruits a Sunderland fan will never, ever look back. Only forward.
PGL, people are saying DFS, carpets, BBC, says Charlie. No, none of those. And lastly, it owns the trademark
to
Grade Booster.
Owns the trademark to Grade Booster.
Was the first in the live chat to get. We almost got there, didn't we? I think that last clue.
What, the Sunderland fan?
just so it is indeed. I mean, I thought the 34th and last one should have something which is a bit more familiar.
Definitely.
M&S, says William. No, not M&S. They don't own Grade Booster. Colin the Caterpillar, but not M&S. Not Grade Booster.
M&S Grade Booster Workshop.
Oh, let's not talk about Colin the Caterpillar because I'll start wanting some chocolate cake. Should we get going then?
Yeah,
so we're going to start with investment appraisal. So with a couple of these, we've got some calculations to have a go at, but also we're going to have to think about just picking out some examiner tips and tricks, just things to think about if it's not necessarily a calculation, but maybe you get given some investment appraisal data. So anyway, we're going to use a little mini case today. I don't know whether you've heard of this, Graham. It's a new music festival targeted at 16 to 24-year-olds called Low Key Lit. Wow. And the festival operators have just finished their A-levels. This is their first business venture, and they've got £40,000 to invest. And as always, they've put together some forecast net cash flows for years 1, 2, and 3. And we've also got some discount factors listed there. So over to you in the live chat. We'll put the clock on this. Pick one of the 3 investment appraisal methods, or have a go at all 3 if you wish. Either payback, ARR, or MPV, and maybe just do a quick fire calculation of one or more of those to see if you can use that data. Shall I start the clock, G?
Yes, let's do it.
So low-key,
lots
this sounds like the kind of festival we'd be at, really.
Lots of students getting...
It's amazing how quickly.
Yeah.
It never ceases to amaze me how quickly people can calculate investment appraisal.
We've got nearly 1,200 students at the moment, haven't we?
Yep. If you're looking at the live chat thinking, how on earth do they do it? Well, don't be intimidated by it. Don't forget if you do have some calculations to do, there's time allowed in the questions for doing those, for doing your workings and then using the data.
Wow.
Amazing work.
It's yeah. There's lots to be honest. There's lots of students joining us today, so we will find it difficult to pick specific requests for questions out the chat window. We will try and respond as best we can.
Yeah, for sure.
They're coming through thick and fast, aren't they?
Lots of people have had a go at more than one. And they're all flying through at the minute. Let's see if we can pick one out. Let's pick Alexander out. He's been to quite a few of our 34, probably 33 out of the 34, maybe 34 sessions. Mm-hmm. Payback period, 2 years, 2 months. That feels like it could be right, but we'll have a look in a minute. And ARR expressed in this case to 2 decimal places, 41.67. In fact, those answers are quite similar to lots more that are coming through. Should we go through the answers, G, or have you got anything else? Have you anything else you spotted?
No. I'll just pick up because we are going to do some hints and tips. I'll just pick up on something else after we've done the answers.
Okay, cool. Right, let's have a look. Let's go through the answers then. So, let's start with payback period. So don't forget, payback is expressed in time, years and months normally, and it's the time it takes to get your money back. So in this case, we're going to invest £40,000, or the owners, the A-level students, are going to invest it in low-key lit at time 0, year 0. That's now. And they hope that in year 1, they'll get £10,000 back. Year 2, 20,000. Year 3, 60,000. Well, payback doesn't happen after year 2 because by year 2, we've only got 30,000 back, haven't we, of our 40? It looks like it happens in year 3. So what you have to do is work out, well, how far into year 3? Well, we need 10,000 of the 60. So that's 10 over 60 times by 12, that's 2 months. So 2 years and 2 months, G.
Definitely.
Do you want to go through
100%
ARR?
correct. Yeah, I'll
Thank you
do
very
average
much.
rate return. Yeah, I'll do average rate return. So yeah,
Here it is.
41.67%. So remember, you add up the total net cash flows, deduct the cost of the investment, divide by the number of years, divide by the cost of the investment again, and times 100. Now, sometimes, it's rare, but you might not be given net cash flows. You might have to work them out, which is cash
Yep.
inflows minus cash outflows. Remember, when this is examined, a lot of students forget to deduct the cost of the investment. So I always advise, put the 40,000 in this case in as a minus figure, then add on your net cash flows, then just divide by 3, then divide by 40,000 times 100. So there we have it, 41.67% is the answer.
Yeah, and don't forget, ARR is always expressed as a percentage. So it's
Yeah.
whereas
So
payback
can I
period is expressed in times or years. Sorry.
Exactly.
And MPV is expressed in monetary value. So, Sam, that's very, very kind of you to make a contribution to Graham's cappuccino.
So a cappuccino. So I will respond to one question in the chat window.
Yeah.
If we can bring, well, there's several of them really about are there any calculations in paper 3? Well, that's an interesting question. So for Edexcel, there are no 4-mark questions, so there won't be any direct 4-mark calculation questions because those 4 markers are replaced by 8-mark questions. However, you may get a question which asks you to perform a calculation as part of your answer, usually a 12 or 20-mark question. For AQA, again, no specific calculation questions, but there will usually be, in fact, it always has been a question asking you to use quantitative and qualitative data to support your answer. So again, you will be asked to perform calculations or use calculations to support your answer. So no direct questions. Someone saying, why isn't return on investment an appraisal method? Because it isn't. So there's only 3 you need to know, which is payback, average rate return, and net present value.
Yeah. Okay. And the last one we mentioned, perhaps the one that people find a little bit easier than payback and ARR, which generally is, let's go back to, I've put ARR, but it's not, this is net present value. So don't forget net present value. This is the only one where we need to apply discount factors. So it's the same net cash flows, but we have to do one more calculation, which is to multiply the discount factor, which will always be given to you, by the net cash flow. And that creates what's known as the net present value. And what this means is our discount factor is trying to take account of the time value of money. When we're making an investment decision, cash flows that happen earlier, for example, in year 0 or year 1, should be more important to the calculation than cash flows that happen in, say, year 3 or year 4, 5, 6. And so we discount future cash flows. What that means is we make them less important. And all you need to do is to apply the discount factor to each year's net cash flow, as we've done that on the table there, and then add up the column of net present value. The investment will always be a minus number, and it will always be a discount factor of 1, and then add up the rest of them. And if the rule is with NPV, if it's positive, you should normally go ahead, and if it's negative, you shouldn't go ahead. And that's how you do it, G.
We have.
So just in terms of a few more hints and tips, is there anything here just before we move on to our next topic that's worth pointing out before we finally leave investment appraisal for this year?
No. So apart from that, net cash flows, you may have to calculate them. All investment appraisal involves estimates. Only use discount factors for MPV. And remember the different advantages and disadvantages. Just to pick up on an extra point, everything we're doing, it's applicable to both exam boards. Lots of students saying is NPV on the Edexcel spec. Yes, it is. So you may have to do that. So everything we're doing today is potentially could be examined.
Okay, let's move on. So PED and YED. So really common concepts could either be examined, or you could be given some PED and YED data, or you could use them as part of your answer, because a lot of business decisions are dependent to some extent, or to a large extent, on the effect. For example, the effect of a change in price.
Yeah.
So we'll do a couple of little sort of mini calculations, last calculations for today, and then have a think about what the implications of this are. So let's start with this one, the Vinyl Countdown. It's an online record retailer, e-commerce business. And was told it sells on average 500 new vinyl records each week at £25 each. The owner of the shop, a guy called Max Volume, estimates that the income elasticity of demand is plus 1.4. So with that information, over to you. We'll sit the music on again. Can you work out the weekly sales revenue if income increases by 8%? So have a go.
Great question. That's a great question.
So there's two parts, aren't there? We've got to work out the percentage change in quantity demanded if income's increased by 8%, and then apply that to the selling price.
Yeah. So it's recognised, isn't it? It's really important to understand what that 1.4 means, because if you don't, then you're going to struggle with this question. So
now, don't forget, with AQA, you wouldn't be asked to calculate the coefficient, but you might be given the coefficient.
Yeah.
And might be able to use that to
exactly like we've got on screen.
To work out the impact of a change. Now, when we look at PED, we'll actually look at calculating the coefficient, because, to be honest with you, you should know the formula. It's really important to know the formula, so we might as well know how to calculate it.
Yeah, you're right. You don't need to calculate for AQA, no.
No. So, what do you think, G? Should we go through the answer on this one? Lots of people have got the right answer in the live chat.
Yeah. Before we look at the answer, just to reinforce that 1.4 means for every 1% increase in income, the quantity demanded changes by 1.4%. So from this, let's have a look at the answers. So I think a lot of students sort of got there. So basically, if incomes rise by 8%, we've multiplied the 8 by the coefficient. That means there will be an 11.2% increase in the number of records sold. So we just need to increase 500 by 11.2%. One way of doing it is shown on screen. Another way of doing it, is that, whatever method you use is fine. We had to increase the number of records sold by 11.2%, which led to 556 records sold, multiplied by the sales revenue, 13,900. Therefore, I think a lot of students got that right, which is great. Yeah. So really, what we're saying is an 8% increase in income leads to an 11.2% increase in quantity demanded, and also, it must be records in gym must be classed as a sort of luxury product.
Looks like it, doesn't it? Plus more than one. Yeah, and it's positive. Yeah.
As a record collector myself, I know the value of records. So they could be classed as luxury item. Great stuff.
Yeah, well, they're certainly pricey, aren't they? New vinyl record. Is that about right? About 25 quid, 30 quid? Quite a lot.
Round about an average. I mean, some of the records are by north of £80, depending on where you get them from. But yeah, £25
scarcity value and desire. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, let's move on to PED then. Now we're going to stick with Max Volume and his business, the Vinyl Countdown. Well, I tell you what, it's so fortunate that we come across these businesses where the business owner has a name that is similar to the business itself, which is great. Anyway, Max has been thinking. Perhaps he's spent an afternoon with you in the shop, Graham, and he's decided to increase the price of new vinyl records from £25 to £30.
And you should do.
Now, what he found out the next week was that the weekly demand fell from 500 to 460. So he's thinking that wasn't such a good move. However, now we'll think about the implications of that. But over to you in the live chat. Can you actually calculate the PED coefficient?
Yeah,
now, I know AQA don't need to have to calculate this, but you should know the formula, so you should be able to have a go. So we need to know the PED coefficient based on that information. Have a go.
Yeah. So I went into that record shop, and I spoke to Max Volume, and I said, I'll give you £29 for that record. He said, I can't turn that down. Hence with his name, Max. That's why he's called Max Volume.
Very good. So the price has gone up, but demand has gone down. So that suggests that the coefficient is going to have a minus in front of it. But we ignore the minus, don't we? So it's about working out the coefficient. How sensitive is quantity demanded to that change in price?
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Which, from memory, is the percentage change in quantity demanded divided by the percentage change in price, isn't it?
Definitely. So lots of answers coming in.
Yeah. Cossie's back. Great to see Cossie. And as always with Cossie's answers in the live chat, the full formula is displayed. We can't stick it on screen because there's literally thousands of answers coming through. But I did spot that coming through from Cossie. And lots of others,
Yeah.
Naima, Joel, Layla, and lots of others have gone with the right answer. Should we show it, Jay, or do you want to say something before we disclose the answer?
Yeah. Just know, obviously the law of demand tells us when we put the, when the price up, the quantity demanded falls. We're interested in that relationship by how much it falls, don't we? Great stuff.
There it is. You want to take us through the calculation?
Yeah, so we've got a £5 change in price, so we can work out the percentage change in price. It's really important. Price percentage changes. Difference divided by the original times 100 is the best method. So we've got the change in quantity, 40 records. So we can apply our PED formula, which is the percentage change in quantity demanded divided by percentage change in price. So the PED is minus 0.4, which tells us that records, in this case, are price inelastic, so they are less responsive to a change in price. Maybe that's because they are classed as perhaps a luxury product. Yeah, don't worry, you do not have to work out the price elasticity demand for AQA. We did say that at the start. We just thought it's useful to explain how it's worked out, because that gives greater understanding for the coefficient. So in an exam, you might get a question that say, where you have to interpret the coefficient. This tells us that every 1% change in price, the quantity demanded changes by 0.4%. So that's the important thing to use. And you may get coefficient information in the exam. That's why it is important to know the formula.
Yeah.
Tom, it'll be finished when it's finished, Tom. We don't know. It'll be finished when it's finished. So hints and tips. So remember, if you're given the pair of YED coefficients, don't tell the examiner, what they already know. We know minus 0.5 is price inelastic. We need to know what that number, that 0.5, actually means. And what it means is, for every 1% change in price, the quantity demanded will change by 0.5%. So if it's increased by 1%, it'll fall by 0.5%. You can bring PED and YED into your analysis, even if it's not specifically examined. So, for example, you might have a line of analysis about a business changing price. The impact of that will depend on price elasticity of demand. And as a bonus hint and tip, Jim, as a bonus one,
okay,
a lot of students, are given PED and YED information, or maybe just YED information, and get confused with their PED. So we ignore the minus for PED, but the minus for income elasticity of demand tells us it's an inferior good. So therefore, it is really, really important to recognise that a minus coefficient for YED is an inferior good, which means as incomes rise, the quantity demanded falls.
Yeah,
good stuff.
There's an interesting question, a question coming in the live chat. Because we're not going to do a lot of Q&A today, but would examiners mark you down if you gave an answer that was correct, but they'd seen it before? In other words, the argument. Well, it happens all the time, doesn't it? that's marking for you. You see literally hundreds of the same answer, and if it's a good answer, you don't get marked down. Don't forget your answers are marked by lots of different people as well. So just have a go at every question. And if you get to use a concept like PED and YED, great stuff. Should we move on to capacity, G? We've got two left, haven't we?
Yeah. Two.
Have we got room for this? Have we got spare time for this?
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll squeeze it in.
Okay, so here's our mini case study. I'm going to set the scene and then over to you. Now, we're not going to do a calculation here, although you can do a calculation if you wish, because I think that's a feature of paper 3 in both Edexcel and AQA, and presumably Educast and OCR as well. So this is about Glastonbury. Currently has a daily capacity of 210,000 people, which makes it one of the world's largest festivals. And it takes place over 5 days. So up to 210,000 people can attend over 5 days on each day. And the festival currently has around 100 stages, hosting over 4,000 performances over the 5 days. Last year, 205,000 people on average attended each day, paying an average of £75 per day. Most people camping on site or staying in local accommodation. Glastonbury have applied to the local council to increase the capacity to 220,000 from 2026. Now, here's the question for you to have a go at in the live stream, which I phrased with an Edexcel angle, but we can turn it into an AQA question very easily. So Edexcel students assess two benefits of Glastonbury increasing their capacity to 220,000 daily attendees. AQA could be something like analysed two effects of Glastonbury increasing capacity. Or something like that. So anyway, over to you in the live chat to have a think about that. Let's stick the funky music on just for this.
Yeah. So if you're an AQA, if you're an AQA student, maybe just think of maybe one benefit and one downside. If you're an Edexcel student, you would need two benefits and two downsides. So Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because you can probably think, well, you could probably work out a revenue calculation, I think, based on if they do sell out or sell all tickets.
Yeah. There's enough data there to be able to say what the current capacity utilization is, although it's not explicitly asked for, but you could use it, couldn't you? Calculate it and use it to support your argument. Because I think, looking at it, it looks like it's pretty busy. Therefore, if you can have more people going, in theory, you're going to be able to sell those tickets because everybody wants to go.
Yeah. No, have you ever been to Glastonbury before?
I've not, no. I know somebody who's performed there because I know the guys in a band called Jungle.
Oh wow!
But I've never been.
Yeah, it's crazy busy. It's packed, and I've been once, and to be fair, it put me off. So maybe even if it's even bigger, that might, I don't know, maybe that might put some other people off who think actually it's just too busy. Who knows?
Lots of people coming up with some great analysis coming in. There's literally hundreds and hundreds of great comments going into the live chat. People are having a go. We've seen some calculations. Let's stick Josh on just to show you just what we can do. You can work out what the daily revenue was last year and what it would increase to if all those extra tickets were sold. That's exactly the kind of thing that you would do to help support maybe a particular line of argument about what the benefit would be, what the impact would be. Lots of people mentioning benefiting from potentially lower unit costs as those fixed costs are spread over more people attending. Some great stuff in the live chat. This is exactly what we were looking for. Should we go through some possible responses, G?
Yeah. So I don't think we've got anything different from what everyone else got here. So
no.
Yeah. So
oh, there we go. It's coming. I've structured this just in the little bits in yellow would be like an Edexcel point, wouldn't it? A balancing point, counterbalancing point.
Yeah. So obviously we've got higher sales. So we've worked out, the increase in revenue. So for example, it can hold 15,000 more attendees. So we can work out the additional revenue and ticket sales alone. Also, they're going to want something to eat and drink. They want to maybe buy a T-shirt or purchase a tent, and therefore that will lead to increased sales revenue. Overall, which is great. But it is very crowded, so maybe that might put some people off and think actually it's going to be another 15,000 people there. Yes, it'll be bigger, but still a lot of people. Could that lead to longer queues at the bars or the food outlets or whatever?
Yeah.
Also, low unit costs. There was a lot of insightful stuff about economies of scale, which actually is relevant in this question because it is growing in size. So therefore, the economies of scale argument is good. Also, if we can get if we can fill those extra 15,000, that's going to result in lower unit costs as the fixed costs of Glastonbury. You could use a bit of such as seed in there or spread out over more festival goers. Maybe that allows them to keep their ticket prices competitive. Or you would imagine ticket prices are relatively price inelastic. They could keep ticket prices the same and enjoy higher profit. However, as the festival grows, they're going to need, that's going to demand more services, sewerage, water, power, which may increase their overall costs. So remember, this structure is Edexcel specific. You would not get this for AQA. If it was AQA, then it might be analyse two benefits or analyse a benefit for a 12-mark question.
Yeah, and that AQA question is relevant, isn't it? So if it's analysed two benefits, the expectation would be that you'd have two distinct benefits, or it could be two consequences or two impacts, and that could either be positive or negative. But for Edexcel, we need that counterbalancing point. So that's why we've just illustrated that, which is Edexcel specific.
Yeah, there's someone, and I recognise when a question's been asked 4 or 5 times that maybe a little bit of panic there, and I can't pick it out. So I just want to.
What's the question, Jay? I'll see if I can find it.
So about 4-mark. There are no 4-mark questions on these papers. So there's no 4-mark. So I'm assuming you're an Edexcel student.
Yeah.
The 4-markers are not on paper 1 and paper 2. They are replaced by the 8-mark questions, which is the structure we've gone through. So there are no more 4-mark questions on either paper at all.
Yeah, cool.
That's our last activity, isn't it?
It's our last one for this year, so hopefully that's useful. And will it have a musical theme? We don't know, do we?
Well, maybe it will. Maybe it will.
Let's have a look. So just before we do that,
we're getting ahead
we
of
almost
ourselves.
got away without doing some final thoughts. I think it is quite important, isn't it, that when you go into the exam tomorrow, that you really are clear what the difference is between capacity, that's how the maximum number you can make or sell, and utilisation, which is percentage. I think a lot of students get that mixed up, and therefore their answers lose credibility.
Definitely.
We've mentioned the fact that often high utilisation is associated with benefits such as lower unit costs, but don't just say that. explain how and why that would be the case. Which fixed costs are being spread over what kind of units. But also that bottom point there, I mean, I know we mentioned this at Grade Booster. So if the question was around, why a business might not want to maintain high utilization. So let's say it was a 24 mark open question for AQA. To what extent should all businesses try to maintain high capacity utilization? What you need is a counter argument, and lots of businesses deliberately try to have spare capacity, low utilization or lower utilization. For example, on the ones that we went through on the workshops, private healthcare, the ability to be able to get an operation the next day, or luxury restaurants for the walk-in crowd.
Private, like health clubs and spas as well is another one.
Yeah.
Also Harrogate Town. They seem to want a lot of spare capacity, don't they?
I heard the other day, I don't know whether this is true, but tell me whether this is true, Graham. At the Stadium of Light, which is the Sunderland's stadium, apparently there's a design floor.
Oh, I've heard it. Yeah, I've heard. Yeah, it is true.
The stands face the pitch.
Yeah, that's a bad thing. Oh, it's not our. Oh, yes, it's our final activity. It is.
Yeah. So we've done capacity, PED and YED, and investment appraisal. Should we do 5 minutes on CPA? I know it's everybody's favourite activity, and this is the topic that gets the round of applause, isn't it? When we do live workshops. So let's save the best till last, and it's on a musical case study about a new. Have you heard of this performer, Graham?
Sailor Drift. Wow,
Sailor Drift is a fast emerging country to pop crossover artist, and she launched to great acclaim her album Peer Pressure in early 2025, and she's planning a concert tour, series of gigs, and she's even better, she's produced a network diagram for us.
I hope if Taylor Swift ceased Sailor Drift, there's no bad blood between them.
Very good. Anyway, over to you in the live chat. We won't put a timer on this. Have a go. Firstly, identify the critical path, but then calculate the float activity. If it has any float, if it's 0 float, it's on the critical path for activity B. So let's just do this for maybe 30 seconds or so. What do you tend to look at when you see that diagram, Graham, apart from start to shiver and get the...
I get a lot of joy out of it, to be fair, but it's it's critical path. It is it's right for paper 3 for both exam boards, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's right for exam boards. So
yesterday on the Edexcel warm-up, we did a critical path about Co-op Live. Which isn't the same diagram as we used yesterday.
It's different. And it's not being examined on. It's not being examined on paper 1 and paper 2, so as a concept, Jim, it's difficult to shake it off.
How do you find the critical path? So do you want to take us through how we find it, G?
Yeah, so basically the critical path are those activities where if there was a delay, it would affect the overall duration. So activities with I might need subtitles for this, activities with float time. Activities with float time. They cannot be on the critical path, because if there's an activity with float time and there's a delay, depending on the extent of the delay, it won't affect the overall critical path. So the critical path in this instance was indeed A, C, D, G, and H. Yep. That's because there is float time in activity B. Now, to work out float time, there are 2 methods. The formula is LFT minus duration minus EST. So remember, in node 4, that bottom number 12 is the latest finish time of activity B. And in node 2, the top number 3 is the earliest it can start. So the earliest B can start is 3 weeks. It has to finish by 12, because that's the latest finish time, and it only takes 6 weeks. Therefore, the float time is 3 weeks. Yep. Now, another way you could have worked that out is we know C and D take 9 weeks, and G can't start till B, C, and D are finished. So if they take 9 weeks and B takes 6 weeks, there must have been 3 weeks float time. But the formula is important. So if, for example, if activity B, Jim, was delayed, well, I'll throw this open to the audience. If activity B was delayed by 4 weeks, what would be the overall effect on the duration? So if activity B was delayed by 4 weeks, it's currently going to take 22 weeks to launch. What would it be? if it's delayed.
Whilst you're working it out, everyone's asking Edexcel students, do we maintain the same structure as the 20 markers? Absolutely. There's no changes. A 20 mark structure.
Yeah, exactly. Now, sometimes in the 20 marker, there has been some calculations as part of it, so you need to do the calculations, but yes, same structure.
So what you're saying, if activity B is delayed by 4 weeks, what's the effect on the Sailor Drifts concert tour? How long will it take you to launch it? Okay.
So I'm thinking, right, obviously, surely it's got to be 26 weeks because it takes 22 weeks to finish, and we're delaying an activity by 4 weeks. So I thought, well, it's got to be 26. But then I recognised
you're forgetting something, aren't you, Graham?
There's float time, so we know we can delay activity B by 3 weeks, and it won't affect the overall project. Therefore, a 4-week delay will only have a 1 week impact. So it will.
So you use up all the float, don't you? You use all your float up.
The float's gone.
Yep. And you need an extra
week.
The
float has gone.
Yeah.
And as a sailor, it's important that there's float. Definitely.
I'm not sure how long you're going to be able to keep that going. Well done. Well, there we go. So let's just quickly remind ourselves. Just take us through these, G, before we wrap up.
So you might have to, explain the benefits of CPA if you analyse the benefits of an AQA student, assess the benefit if you're an Edexcel student. Remember, the critical path is the longest path through the network. Yeah. No float time on the critical path, which you've got there. Remember the formula for float, LST minus duration minus EST. Now, implications of a delay to an activity that has some float. So I think, basically, I think, Jim, with what a session that's been, hasn't it? We've covered so many topics. Well, benefits of CPA, ultimately the plan the quickest duration for an activity to complete. They allow for simultaneous activities to be more efficient. Those are activities that can be done at the same time. Perfect for cash flow. For example, if an activity is like much further on in the future, like ordering stock, you wouldn't order at the start. You would order it towards the end. So lots of. However, remember these are just estimates.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
And they have to be managed. You can't just say, it's going to take 22 weeks and hope it does. It has to be managed.
Yeah, critical path delivery is the same as network analysis. I mean, the other thing is critical path analysis, a bit like investment appraisal and definitely like break even, is actually used in real business. It's used a lot for any business that's got complex projects where there is a whole series of dependent activities and where you have to make estimates as to how many resources, how much time is needed. It's used, and it's. I know we simplify it for A-Level Business, but it is a genuine technique that is well used. So that's the big value of this. It's actually used.
It is used.
I can't believe it, G. We've come to the end. We've come to the end.
I'm glad. I think my glasses might start steaming up here. I need to get some little wipers installed on the ends. What can we say? Well,
you say something, G, and then I'll say something.
Well, it's not often I'm speechless, but all I would like to say is thank you so much for taking time out to spend with us. We hope you found it informative, fun, and useful. And good luck in your exam, and good luck in the future. That's all we can say.
Yeah, too right. And we've done 34 of these, and not everyone's been to them all, but it's been a pleasure to do them all with you, either live or if maybe you've caught up on catch up. We wish you all the best in paper 3. There's lots more marks to be earned, but whatever happens by the time you leave A-Level Business tomorrow afternoon, that's it. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. If you're going on to do a bit of business later on, maybe at college, university, or to study maybe a professional business qualification as part of an apprenticeship, then maybe our paths will cross again. But we wish you all the best, and just give it all you can. Don't forget to use those case studies. The answers are all in the extracts and the case studies that you get given in paper 3. And we'll be keeping our fingers crossed for you. So from Graham and I and the whole of the team, all the best. And hopefully we'll see you sometime soon.
Goodbye.